Okay, joining us now is Austin Dillon, and he's no stranger to winning here at Kentucky Speedway. He drives the number 3 Dow Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. Austin, good to see you.
Thank you.
And certainly Austin has been on the cusp of getting to victory lane in the Sprint Cup Series. But Austin, we're kind of at the midpoint of the season. The racing's been really good. Seems like there's a lot of excitement coming out of Daytona. Just talk about that excitement. Talk about how fun it's been to be, to race so far this year, and what's your outlook on here for this weekend?
For us, it's an opportunity, I think, coming to a track that's freshly paved. Racing has been pretty solid this year, and, we look at this as an opportunity for us coming to a place that there's not anybody has a real true advantage. There's some guys that tested here, but, as far as the banking and the layout of the track, I've been pretty fast here. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend's race and the opportunities it brings. It was nice getting in the Xfinity car and kind of learning a little bit before we get in the Cup car, and I think it'll be interesting for sure come Saturday night.
Questions now for Austin. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start on the front row here with Matt, and then we'll go to Claire B. Lang, and then to Mark and Mark.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week magazine. I went down to the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame yesterday, Bill Holder, and he had told me a story, and I wasn't sure if it was you or your brother, but apparently you guys were racing down at Florence, and one of you had promised to bring Bill a door for the Hall of Fame, and one of y'all had forgotten it, and your grandpa said, take the door off the car. Is that how it went down, and what are your memories of that place and what Bill's done with the facility?
Yeah, I've raced a lot there, and actually the first super late model, big time show was there. And I remember showing up, and I had done a school beforehand with Dale and Shane McDowell, and they were like, well, you're doing pretty good at the school. Let's take you to this big race. I mean, you can get a little experience here and see what it's like. It's a slick, slow track. It's really finesse. It's not like a fast track. And I was like, okay. So we go to line up, and it rained the day before, like a full solid day of rain. And I remember pulling up to the gate and watching Josh Richards go through there and run wide open. And it was like, whoa, what am I doing here? We ended up running that race. I looked like a fish out of water. Come back the next race, and I ran second or third. So Florence has been good to me, and I enjoy the track. You can learn a lot there because you can run low and high, and it's just it's a fun facility to race on for sure.
With the Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame, yeah. It's a cool little area there, and I think they did get a door from us at some point, and the best of the best are in there, and it's good that the dirt late model racing has a Hall of Fame.
We'll go to Claire B. Lang, Mark Garrow, and then Mark Story.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was just flipping through Twitter, and I got such a kick out of you cold calling the fans. And I wonder if you could give us the backstory on that. When you're talking to a fan who doesn't know it's you, and you're asking if your girlfriend is hot and if they like your haircut and if you're good looking, how did that come down, and how much fun was that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. NBC, the guys at NBC are doing a really good job, and they had a list of names on there of fans of Austin Dillon, and I just started calling them, and I couldn't disguise my voice. I'm so country, and I have a pretty funny voice every now and then. I just didn't use it, and it was fun though. I got to ask questions that were off the wall and tried to make a joke out of it, and it worked out. And I'm glad everybody got to see that video. My girlfriend kicked me pretty hard for it, but it was fun. Just calling true fans of our sport, and there's a lot of haters out there, and then to hear a real fan and talk to them on the phone and get the love from them, it was pretty special. So just hearing fans that support you and are proud of what you're doing out there, and just excited to hear from you, and that's what's fun about it, and that's what makes our sport great.
Let's go to Mark Garrow, then to Mark Story.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Austin, obviously a lot of success here on the old track. I mean, you're definitely dialed into it. How big a change is this track now with the repave? And basically the same question I asked Brad. Is it still unique? Does it still have some things that make it just Kentucky Speedway?
Yeah, it's still very unique. The the way the banking enters turn 3, it's a flat corner, and then 1 and 2 is very high banked. You run wide open getting through 1 and 2. And 3 and 4, you kind of have to back up your corner and figure out how to carry momentum and speed because of banking. I think it's still Kentucky. It's just there's not as many bumps and a lot of grip right now. So I do think that the way it's paved, that eventually that the higher line in 3 and 4 will come into play. I don't know if it'll happen this year. Hopefully we can get some rubber laid down up there. I'd like to go take some cones and move them up about a lane and have practice for about 2 hours above the groove just to rubber it in, because we could use that rubber come Saturday night. So hopefully the trucks do move around a little bit, but it's still Kentucky. I'm complaining about entry to turn 3. 1 and 2, I'm carrying a lot of speed and just complaining a little bit about 3, but seem to have speed. We were fastest in Xfinity practice. So,
Other question, where you're sitting right now, if the deal ended today, which it's not, you're in position to make the chase on points. How do you feel about your chances holding on to that spot through Richmond?
we feel pretty positive about our chances. We had a good meeting last week before Daytona with everybody, in our kind of organization, and Slugger pulled our team together, met with the core group of guys, and just kind of explained what we can accomplish here. We can make the chase, and we're sitting in a really good spot, and we have to take every race more serious than we ever have. Just take it one at a time, but really focus and do everything we can to get an advantage on everybody that's out there, whether it's me just working extra on trying to learn things and see things watching the races, and it's them trying to just get a little bit more out of the car. So we've got tracks that we've circled to win at. We want to really win a race to lock ourselves in solid, and then we've got tracks that we know we've got to improve on, places that we haven't run great in the past. We need to jump up 5-10 spots because the other guys are going to be good going to those places. So this is a place we got circled because everybody's on a fresh pavement, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Let's go to Mark Story, then to Tucker, and then to Lee.
Austin, I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald Leader. You sort of alluded to what I was going to ask you, but I think since the Cup Series came here, Kyle Busch and Keselowski have led like 63% of the Cup laps. Does this repave bring them back, and is everybody on equal footing, or are they still the guys to beat?
Well, it's tough. Those guys have been in fast Cup cars lately. I mean, those cars are running really well, and you gotta show that speed earlier. When you come to these paved tracks where wide open is pretty much the key, there's still some speed and aerodynamics of the car. So I think it will bring some guys closer because you'll see other guys that run good at like Kansas and places like that where there's a lot of throttle time will gain some position. So I think hopefully, but those are two really good race car drivers you named there and really good organizations. So to knock them two off, it's going to be tough, but it can be done.
Let's go to Tucker and then to Lee.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. Now, following up on what Mark Garrow had asked you, given the repave here, what effect, if any, do you think the low downforce package will have on the race Saturday?
I think you'll see similar racing that you saw at Michigan. I think getting underneath a car is going to be the hardest part. Like I think you'll be able to run closer to guys, but exit of the corner will be tough. Carrying speed off of turn 4 is going to be tough, like Brad's saying. Entering 3 and 4 will be a challenge, and then exiting beside somebody. But with all the grip, I think it'll be very similar to any packages out there because you have a lot of grip right now. So hopefully it does present some passing lanes as we move throughout the weekend and create a strong race for us.
Let's go to Lee, and then we'll finish up with Chris Knight.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Are you still working with the driver coach?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's an engineer, but everybody calls him my driver coach. Yeah, he's done a great job this year just working with me. And it's hard to be approached by certain people about driving. For example, my dad does a very bad job of approaching me, telling me how to drive. His approach is very stern and to the point, and sometimes you just got to talk around certain things. So more than anything, Chavi does a good job of approaching me the right way and speaking to me the right way, and we just try to work and get better on everything we can, looking and comparing to other drivers if they're faster, and then if I'm the fastest in the group of data that we have, we'll try and improve on that. He's never satisfied, which is really good to make me better. Even if we're on top of the board, when we sat on the pole at California, he felt like we missed a little bit. So it's nice to have someone that really pushes you and takes you to the next level, and hopefully I can keep him there.
That was the second part of my question. You mentioned your dad, and lately, and this wasn't something we heard as much at the beginning of the season as we do now, was your dad and your grandfather seem to be on your radio a little more than usual. And
You've been talking to Slugger.
No, seriously. It's just from, dialing into
Yeah.
your team radio, and I'm wondering, are they starting to feel the pressure for you internally? And is it a pain in the ass having your dad and your grandfather on you like that when, that's not kind of the norm? At some point, the stage parents kind of, walk off the
Yeah.
walk away.
No doubt. I did a good interview last week or so with NBC, and I'm a little bit more than just a race car driver, I feel like. Drive for my family, so there's a lot of ties there that people that drive in this garage don't understand. As far as it's not as just easy just getting in the car and driving and focusing on that and not worrying about those pit crew guys that are on your team or all the crew guys. My job goes a little bit beyond that, and we've taken a lot of those things out, and but it's still hard because when we go home, we're really focused on that. It's not just driving; it's our whole organization as a family, and there's nobody else in my back pocket better than my grandfather and my dad when it comes to family, having them there and balancing the two. My grandpa does a great job. My dad, though, when it's a tough situation, I go to him because I know he's going to give me honest things. It's just sometimes the approach isn't always right, and that happens with most father-son combos. But as we grow and as success comes, as it's came in the past, they go away. They just, it goes like this in racing, and it's hard to have that. But the good thing is I have a family that cares, and I'm thankful for that. So, but my brother and I both want to see RCR and Welcome North Carolina be the #1 race team. So we have a lot invested in that, and we push hard, and you hear a lot of effort out of our radio. I call it effort. Sometimes it sounds like frustration, but we want the best, and I think that comes from everything we deal with during the week. And we don't just show up to the track and drive most of the time. I'm not saying other guys do. A lot of guys put in a lot of effort and they do it, but they're worried about one thing. So we have to focus that, and that's what I need to do a better job of, is just driving most of the time.
Final question, Chris?
Chris Knight, catchmans.com. Austin, Brad said a few minutes ago he felt like he had maybe a little bit of advantage running the Xfinity race this weekend. Do you feel like that you have that same advantage running the Xfinity race, especially since both races are at night? And then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, so I definitely do. When you get in a car and can get used to running fast right off the bat, because that turn 1 is really fast right now. With all that grip, you're carrying a ton of speed and running through the center corner with a lot of momentum. So that'll help me once I've run that Xfinity car to know what I can do in my Cup car. It might take the guys that haven't seen it or haven't tested 30 extra minutes or 45 minutes to get comfortable with that corner, where I'll be able to go to work and maybe have that 25, 30-minute advantage on them, and hopefully be able to carry that throughout the weekend. So definitely hope it's an advantage. I think it is. And not only that, it's just good for me to be prepared when I get in that Cup car to be ready to go.
Okay, and to follow up on Claire's question, I watched a video this morning of you calling the fan. He said he'd never met you before. Is there any aspirations or any intent to try to maybe meet him at an upcoming race this season?
Yeah, they cut some of it out because I had talked about he was from North Dakota or South Dakota, and I had talked about races that he had been to, but he was talking about coming to New Hampshire, and I was going to try and hook up with him there, and I think we got contact information, so we're going to try and meet and say hello. He was a big dirt race fan too also, so he had been to Eldora, I think. But yeah, that was a really cool deal, and that just shows what kind of sport that we have, and we got to cherish that.
Austin, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck this weekend at Kentucky.
Thanks, guys.